Hey there, Shakers, and welcome back to another episode of Worth Your Salt, the podcast that's here to supercharge your marketing in the health and wellness space. I'm Jennifer Orechwa, StoryBrand certified coach, and over the past 2 decades, my team and I have tested, iterated, and figured out what it takes to market and grow so you don't have to. Now I'm here to help you apply the marketing systems that truly work. At Salt Marketing, we're all about helping health and wellness practitioners like you build trust, authority, and a nonstop flow of clients. So if you're ready to take your practice to the next level, you're in the right place. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Ali Guy, founder of The Shared Company, to Worth Your Salt. Ali is a certified Business Made Simple and Unreasonable Hospitality coach who believes that business should be about people, not just transactions. Through The Shared Company, she helps businesses simplify, humanize, and elevate every customer touchpoint so that brands become the ones that people trust, love, and share. Ali's approach is deeply rooted in faith, Southern hospitality, and a commitment to doing things the right way. She emphasizes slowing down to get it right because when you treat people well, they remember, return, and tell others. She's inspired by Will Guidara's philosophy. Ali became certified in Unreasonable Hospitality to further her mission of helping businesses create exceptional customer experiences. She often speaks about the importance of your director of first impressions and how building a reputation hinges on delivering hospitality that goes above and beyond. We're going to talk about how wellness practitioners can apply the principles of unreasonable hospitality to grow their businesses and create memorable client experiences. Ali, welcome to Worth Your Salt.
Jen, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's taken us a minute to get to this point, so I'm glad to have you as well. Yep. So how would you, just kind of starting out, how would you define what unreasonable hospitality is? Like, what lights you up about these ideas?
Well, it's easy to get straight to what lights me up, but I'll start by saying, for those who don't know, Unreasonable Hospitality is the title of this book by Will Guidara. And this book has taken the world by storm. You have probably seen it on the bestsellers table at Barnes and Noble, at the top of your number one recommended, not only just business books, but bestsellers in general, on Amazon, wherever. It is everywhere. It is a conversation that people are having, and it's a mindset that people are adopting that truly has the opportunity to not just change the way and how we do business, but how we take care of others and do it exceptionally well. And that is what lights me up about it. I love the idea of slowing down, getting back to business, doing business in a way that results in real human connection. I love the juxtaposition of that in this hurried world. We are all just constantly under the threat of distraction and hurry. And of course, we have all these amazing tools at our disposal to help kind of streamline, automate our lives. But I believe that those really have a threat to rob us of that human connection that we are wired for. And so the concepts in Unreasonable Hospitality that Will teaches, he does it through this example of his restaurant, 11 Madison Park, which makes it really easy to understand and really feel like you're being invited into a story that you can relate to. Even if you don't dine at a restaurant like that, you can understand what he is trying to teach through that example.
Yeah, for sure. And I love the way that, like you said, he frames it up within the context of his restaurant, but he also talks about his own personal, his personality traits that blended themselves to this epiphany of unreasonable hospitality. I love how he talks about how his attention to detail and the things that seemed like a weakness that people maybe would criticize him for actually ended up being a strength. I love that story. So I'm wondering how these principles can really apply to someone in the wellness industry. I've had several conversations with our clients about this, but I would love to hear your take on how this applies to the wellness industry.
Oh, well, it's such a personal industry, and I think that you could, if you really dove deep, you could say that every industry has the opportunity to be unreasonably hospitable and very personal.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an opportunity to make someone feel very well taken care of at every single one of those touch points. And when I say that, I don't mean knocking their socks off, wowing them, going above and beyond, spending a lot of money, knocking it out of the park every single time, because there is so much psychology around how we remember our experiences. If we think about customer journey, you've heard the old phrase, you do a bad job for someone, they'll tell 10 people. If you do a good job, they'll tell like two. I just want to like turn that on its head, right? Because we need more good. We need more great experiences and people telling 20 people about that, right? So that they can do the same thing. And um, that's very, very important when I think about how I approach my work. But what a gift this industry has, that they get to help so many people with a transformation of some sort, right? And that is deeply personal. And so you cannot have an impersonal, transactional, flat customer experience, period, in this industry. You just can't. And so um, I'm giving you not only the homework, but the permission to be like so convicted about that, that you're not going to be black and white. You're not going to just do what everybody else in your industry is doing. You're going to go full color. You're going to go technicolor, and you're going to get crazy creative in how you are going to deliver on that promise, that expectation, how you're going to deliver that consistently excellent experience every single time. And that is going to evolve with your business. That is going to evolve with your customer. It's going to evolve with whatever's going on in the world. And so when you do that, when you start your business, that has to be revisited. That has to be revisited, like, twice a year, yearly, whatever you feel is appropriate, at least yearly.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting. I love what you said about, we're not going to be black and white here. We're going to go technicolor. Like, you're really going to think this through and be intentional about it. And I love in the book, he talks a lot about his team and how he built his team around this. And so it's not just your customer experience. It's also the culture that you build. So I think that's
100%. And not even just your team. It's anybody that does business with you. And you think about the way business works. You have vendors, you have people in the community hitting you up for that little league sponsorship, right? Even the way that you accept or decline that, or the way that you interact with everybody in your community, it all encompasses brand experience. And so I don't use that term as much as customer experience. I tend to slip up and use it, but it sometimes causes confusion, because people know what customer experience is. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's way more common than brand experience. But the distinction there is, and this is what I want to challenge you guys to think about as you're listening. We want to think about how people encounter us even when they don't transact with us. So not only before they transact with us, even if they don't, because everybody has the potential to be a referral source, right? And they are still going to be potentially a part of a conversation about you, or they could even bring you up in conversation, right? Just based off of how they're experiencing you. And so, yes, brand experience is that bigger umbrella concept. And of course, we have to start somewhere. We have to start simple. So start with your client, your customer first. But yes, at the same time, you have to think about how your team is going to execute on this, and invite them into that mindset to truly think customer first, but then also challenge yourself and make sure that anybody that's encountering your business and brand is going to experience exactly what you'd want them to.
Yeah, and I love what you said about even how you respond to sponsorship requests within the community or community events. So let's talk about that a little bit and get a little bit more specific. What are some of the ways that wellness practitioners can personalize those experiences that go beyond standard expectations? And I'm even thinking about the way that if you run a med spa or you run a recovery clinic, how you respond online.
Even if the email in your inbox is not, "Hey, I have questions," or "I'm ready to book an appointment," it's still an opportunity to make that connection, right? And so let's go with the Little League sponsorship example. Let's run with that. So first, I'm going to say something bold. Respond. Just respond. I am so fed up with ghosting and this culture that's being, it's like a snowball effect, and I feel like I'm experiencing it in every area of my life, even personally. People just aren't even responding or acknowledging, and I get it. So first, respond. Second, let's say it's a no, right? So I've many times I've had to respond on a client's behalf and say, we are so thankful that you thought of us. We love what you're doing at X business. You're making a huge difference in our community. I try to offer some sort of value, of course, first and foremost, acknowledge and respond, offer some sort of value, right? And then even better if I can walk them to something that can still, help with whatever they're trying to achieve, right? And so I think that's how I would approach that little league sponsorship email in my inbox.
Absolutely. So in thinking about our clients and how we respond to patients and things like that, what kind of effect does this concept of unreasonable hospitality have on retention rates and referral rates?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. When if you think about the full customer journey, and that's what I help, one of the first things that we do together, my clients and I, is we map out a customer journey. So as it sits, exactly what they feel like is happening from that very first encounter to when they become a raving fan, right? Now, they do have biases and blind spots to that because they are not their customer. The second you start your business or start working for a business, you surrender your ability to view your customer experience without bias and blind spots, which is why it is so critical to have people from the outside come in who are experts and also people who can give you that valuable, critical feedback so that you can become better, right? But we'll map it out together and we'll just think about opportunities to elevate certain touch points throughout the entire journey. And of course, there's that part after we transact. And if you're, say you're a membership model or you're someone whose client is going to, come back for, we'll think about like a physical therapist. My husband's a physical therapist. He sees the husband, for a total knee. And then next month he's seeing the wife. And then 2 years down the road, he's seeing the grandson with the ACL. And, there is so much to be said about the retention and then of course the referral piece of it. And so we can't get lazy. We can't spend everything we've got in the bank on the front end of that experience. Even worse, you can't come in at the tail end when you drop the ball in the middle and be like, we really appreciate it if you send us, to pass this along. And if you refer us, we're going to give you $15 to Starbucks. And it's like, whoa, you never checked in this middle, you never checked in halfway through my, my package or my engagement with you, or, hey, I've been a member at this gym for 3 years and no one's like celebrated that. No one's even acknowledged that I've spent, $30,000 like with you guys, I'm speaking from the heart there, and so don't get lazy. Don't get lazy after you win a customer. Think about how you can personalize without, kind of being over the top with it. I think there's a fine line, right? There's a lot of opportunity to ask a lot of questions on the front end of your engagement with someone around their goals and to celebrate goals and milestones and progress, and do that in a way that's not an automated text and not an automated email, not on their birthday, not on a year after they signed up to work with you, to just do it when they least expect it, after on a Tuesday afternoon after their visit with you. And so I think that, don't get lazy and get creative in how you're going to keep that connection going and ask for feedback, close the loop, get the feedback from them.
Yeah. And I love what you said about, asking them what are their goals at the front. And therefore, when they achieve those goals, we can then celebrate them. That goes far beyond just a date on a calendar that we've just passed. It's a milestone that matters to that person more than just a date on the calendar. Cool. All right, Ellie, we need to take a quick sponsorship break right now. When we come back, I want to talk about how we can really understand our clients' needs. Are you exhausted from marketing your wellness business by the seat of your pants? Spending every spare second trying to piece together emails, social posts, sales pages, while your CRM is basically screaming for your attention? Listen, I get it. It feels like there should be more to show for all of the hours, the hustle, and the worry, right? But hard work alone isn't enough if you don't have the right systems. That's why inside the Salted Edge membership, we've loaded up the ultimate wellness marketing toolkit. Think swipeable templates for your emails and social posts, done-for-you checklists, action-packed guides, even copy and paste AI prompts so you never start from a blank page again. You'll also get access to our tech library, plus pre-built automations that will make your marketing run like clockwork. You can join the Salted Edge at saltmarketing.co/edge, so you can finally do less busy work and see more growth. That's saltmarketing.co/edge. We're back here on the Worth Your Salt podcast with Ali Guy of The Shared Co., and we're talking about unreasonable hospitality and how creating that kind of culture can elevate a service-based business. And so, Ali, before the break, we were talking about that high-level view of the client journey, but sometimes things aren't quite so formulaic. So can you share some techniques that wellness professionals could use to anticipate and address kind of what I'd call like unspoken client needs?
The mindset is the thing that's going to give you that gut feeling in the moment to hear something that a lot of people would hear and not take action on or not think anything of, read something, observe, whatever it is. And so we think about it in the context of the wellness space. Body language, how people appear when they walk into an appointment to check in. Are they tensed up? Are they getting off of a business call? Are they rushing around? Did you hear them say, oh, I'm skipping lunch so I can do this, I'll call you later. Listening for these little things like that and being able to do something about it and not just want to, right? That is what Will does such a wonderful job, describing this with all of his examples in the book, which is why I encourage everybody to read it. But they're not going to be examples that directly translate. So it's important that, there's at least one person in the organization who can say, hey, here, when this happens, and we see this happen a lot when someone skips lunch for an appointment, we're going to have, a snack basket and waters, or we're going to offer, to order them something, especially if it's a customer, who comes in and spends a lot with us consistently. We're going to, know their lunch order and order in or offer, to do that for them. Just doing these, and that's kind of like the concierge mindset, right? So doing these little things that are actually huge. You can't hit it out of the park with every single touch point, or you can't implement something wild and expensive and elaborate every single time. But I would challenge you to do it, every now and then, right? And your team's going to be able to discern like when the right time to do that is. And those are those moments. They're magic. You'll have that customer for life. They will never forget that. You don't have to buy them lunch every time. But that day, maybe that lunch, or just that offer to buy them lunch is going to change everything. It's going to bring their shoulders down. It's going to make them feel like, wow, this is the place. They know me. They know what kind of day I'm having, and I just feel so cared for.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you say that. I go to a hair salon locally, and they partnered with a local bakery, and they have a warming case with a fresh baked cookie that they give everyone at the end of their appointment. So that's like that little touch that just goes above and beyond, and you anticipate that cookie. You're looking forward to that cookie. So,
Right.
or you're going to take it home and delight someone else with that cookie.
Right.
So,
Right.
yep. So it's a great opportunity. Now, and we're talking a lot about brick and mortar models, where people were actually physically interacting with people, but there are a lot of wellness services that are being offered online or through telehealth services. How can we deliver unreasonable hospitality in a virtual interaction?
Think about the experience as a whole and how we're going to make that feel more personalized. And so, use that inbox. Yes, there's going to be automated emails for appointment reminders, whatever else you need to bake into your process. I get it. But I would highly encourage you to pepper in at least one personalized email. I gave the recap and the one thing, the midpoint check-in that's a personalized email. You could automate that and make it look personal too. There's that. But I would say just think bigger than the appointment and figure out, hey, how can I communicate in a more personal way in between? How can I, maybe you send something, you mail something, you send something their way. Just thinking about how you can make them feel welcomed even before they get on the first time and meet you. They should already feel like they know you. And so when we think about brand experience too, that's where the marketing piece gets really important, making sure that your website and your social media, all of that feels very personal and like they have already gotten to know you a little bit, so that first appointment or first session does feel a little bit more comfortable, right? That's where your content is so important.
Yeah. That's a great point. And you and I have had, getting back to sort of the team element of this, you and I have had conversations about what you call the director of first impressions, like that as that position. So talk a little bit about what that is, how in the wellness industry, we can empower our teams to kind of embrace and implement these ideas.
Sure. So, it really just depends on what the first action is that you're asking people to take when you want them to move forward in doing business with you. So, in the story brand world, we call that your direct call to action. It's the will you marry me? Let's buy now. Let's book the appointment now. And then you have let's go out on a date first. That's that secondary call to action. Maybe that's taking an assessment or opting into a newsletter or something like that, right? Well, that's your first impression, by the way. Actually, your first impression is how easy was it to find your website with that information on it? Or do you have a optimized, Google business profile? Is your Instagram optimized and kind of reflects exactly what your website says? That's like your pre-first impression. So again, going back to having really great marketing foundationals, website, social media, all that polished up, because that makes up that first impression. So don't sabotage. You can have the world's best person answering the phone or the fastest, most wonderful tool that helps you get someone booked. And that could mean nothing if they never even get to that point because those foundationals aren't in place, which is why it's so important to secret shop yourself, or better yet, have somebody else from the outside secret shop you so they can identify if any of those, need help. On the first impression itself, I would just say, don't stop at 80%. Don't just implement the tech and the tools that everybody else in your industry is doing. Check the box. It's live. It's great. It's in my brand colors. No, does it really look, feel, and sound like you? And is it delivering on the level of experience that you would expect personally? Does it have those components of an easy button to get in touch with somebody if they're getting fed up with all the emails and everything being, technical? Is the person answering the phone, are they joyful? Are they listening more than they're talking? Are they asking the same questions every single phone call in a way that doesn't feel scripted? And that's why I started the shared codes. Who is this person in the middle? Who is this person that's going to say, hey, I'm your customer experience advocate. I'm the one who's going to figure out, do we need a script for that team member? What's going on? Do you need to hire a different person? Does it need to not be calls? Maybe there's a different way that we can do this, and that is the gap. That's the gap that I feel like just keeps happening again and again. And a lot of marketing agencies are evolving to kind of push more into customer experience, but it's hard for them to do all the things. Marketing is enough as it is. There, as you know, you're shaking your head. There is so much. There's plenty. And they kind of need to be the experts and the advocates for that top end, get the leads, generate the awareness, but they can't walk them through the whole thing, right? Like that's your job as the business leaders and owners. But we all need help. We all need that, additional perspective, that expert who is not in the weeds. I don't have the bias. I don't have the blind spot. I can say, hey, what about this? Or have you ever thought of this? Or this worked well for a business who is encountering the same problem. So, of course, even if it's not me, I just highly encourage you to seek outside perspective on customer journey, customer experience, and make sure that the expectations that you're putting, whether it's a team member who's your director of first impressions or some sort of tech or system or combination of both, make sure that those are informed by experts and people who really know what they're talking about and people who are willing to get creative and figuring out how they can make that first impression just nothing short of amazing every single time.
Yeah, I love that. And then intentionality about every touch point in the customer journey, from the beginning to the end, including before they become a customer. All right, Ellie, it is time for another quick break. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to the Worth Your Salt podcast, and today I'm talking with Allie Guy of The Shared Co. about how you can create a culture of unreasonable hospitality in your wellness business. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so be sure to join us over on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and let us know how you are amazing and delighting your clients. All right, we're back. And so before the break, Allie, we were talking about when you start thinking this way, you're essentially thinking about how you treat clients completely differently, from the beginning to the end. So I was wondering about the principles of unreasonable hospitality and how they can be applied to foster a sense of community among your clients. Can you start to build sort of a community around your wellness practice? And what are your thoughts there?
Well, if you don't have people talking about your business in a positive way routinely, then you have a problem. The goal is that you are doing such a good job that people are talking about it. And that will naturally create connections and kind of bring out commonalities or with your customers and your clients, right? We are desperate for community and connection. And so part of your duty as a business, ultimately a brand, is to foster those connections and to build communities. We see it now more than ever. Obviously, we have a lot of different platforms for communities. There's, I think, one of the most interesting ones, this resurgence of the Facebook groups and those communities, right? I mean, who would have thought? But they are thriving. It's actually the reason why I haven't deleted my Facebook. I love a good Facebook group. I'm here for it. Love it. I've had several clients who have wanted to start their own community, and they're so fearful of two things. First, they don't want it to feel like a sales push in disguise, because that's not a true community. And then second, they have like this hesitation that if there's only 2 or 3 people in it, it's not going to work. It's got to have like 1,000 people tomorrow. Wrong, 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 wrong. So, um, community to me is 2 or more people who are finding a common denominator and connecting with each other. As a business or brand, you can certainly provide a platform for that, like a Facebook group, a place where they can communicate. You can provide the tools, the tech, whatever. But first and foremost, you have to provide the exceptional service that gets them talking, that forges the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm wondering, so we go through all these initiatives. We put our unreasonable hospitality in place. We've been through our customer journey. We've looked for all of those touch points. You've talked a lot about feedback and sort of soliciting that from your clients. What kind of metrics, what kind of feedback from our clients should we be looking at to say this is working or this isn't working, or we need to shift, or this particular thing that we're doing, let's make this instead. What do we need to look at in terms of results?
Well, it varies. And I've seen everything from a one question, how likely, from on a scale from 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer us to a friend? Sent out once a quarter. Um, Really good completion rate on that, right? Because we all pretty much got time for one question. If we don't, we have a serious problem. So I've seen everything from that to really detailed quarterly surveys that have a combination of, you know, open-ended response or multiple choice rating on a scale from 1 to 10. um, Agree, disagree, that a variety of those things. I would say it should be proportional to the investment. It should feel natural for your business. So I worked with a CrossFit gym, and they approached me and said, hey, we're not growing. I think we need more marketing. And I said, funny thing about that is it's not a marketing problem. Also, first, what about member retention? Because that's everything for your business. We can spend a lot of time and money going out and getting new members, but if we're not keeping the ones that we have, what are we doing here? That's crazy town. And when it comes to metrics, you have to find what is your equivalent of the questions that I just asked, right? Are you worried about your space? Are you worried about, your providers? Are you worried about the pricing? And when I say worried about, have you already gotten some feedback, some indicators, whether it be reporting indicators or actual feedback from customers that they're seeing price resistance, or you're getting negative feedback about one particular provider? Are you seeing in the reporting that you're seeing a high churn rate with one particular type of service? I don't know. There's a lot of different indicators, right? So it's a combination of looking at reporting and things like that, but you also have to have conversations with your team, And maybe even find a VIP client that you can say, hey, I'm trying to get some feedback from people. What do you feel like I should, be asking about? And sometimes that can be a very telling exercise as well.
Yeah, that's great advice. All right, Allie, we're just about out of time, but if we want to learn more about you, about the Shared Co., where can we go?
You can go to thesharedco.com, and it's shared with a D. So like good things are meant to be shared. That is probably the best place to read all about it. And then, of course, you can follow me on Instagram, is where I would say I post the most frequently. That is going to be at the Shared Co. And I love to share little moments of unreasonable hospitality kind of out in the wild. So you'll see some of that. And also just get people on board with thinking customer first, really understanding not just customer experience, but brand experience. So follow along. I'd love to connect. Shoot me a message. Can't wait to virtually connect with you guys.
And of course, a link to Allie's website and everything we've talked about today, including the Unreasonable Hospitality book, all of that will be over on our website at saltmarketing.co. But right now, Allie, it is time for our lightning round questions. These are a few quick questions that I like to ask of every guest. Are you ready?
I think so. As ready as I'm going to be.
All right, there we go. All right, first question is, what's something about you that often surprises people?
Well, I am, if you haven't heard already and deducted, I'm Southern, but I can be, I'm not your soft-spoken, I guess, Southern belle. I can be very direct, and especially in my work. So I think people are always kind of surprised at, I'm just going to shoot it straight, right? People are like, well, okay. But the good news is I often, with that comment, it's often paired with something like, but you do it in a way that, it feels light, I get it. It's funny. So I'm thankful that I think God's gifted me with a nice, tasteful and tactful way of delivering critical feedback, whether people are ready for it or not.
And I think your direct approach is why you and I get on so well as well. All right. Second question, what is your favorite thing about the work that you do?
I know that my favorite thing about the work that I do is I feel like it is directly correlated with what God has uniquely equipped me to think like and speak like.
Very nice. All right. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Kindness is free.
I like that one. That's very good. All right. Last question. Who is inspiring you right now? What podcast you're listening to, or what's the best book you've read recently? You can't say Unreasonable Hospitality. You have to pick something else.
No. There's so many. I really I'll answer it. Podcast, anything that Jay Shetty's doing. And then for a book, I recently reread The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by Tom Comer. If you haven't gathered, I'm all about slowing down, simplifying, and a lot of people say that, but I love his take on just biblically, it is not good to be hurried and to live in a hurried way. And the same goes for doing business. We have to slow down, chill out, stop hurrying, stop getting distracted, and just take care of each other. So I love that book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Very nice. Allie, thank you so much for joining me today. I love your perspective. I love everything you've shared. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jen. Let's make it a series.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I want to thank you, Salt Nation, as well. If you have a great success story, I would love to talk with you and share your story. So tell us about why you're worth your salt by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. And of course, be sure to subscribe to Worth Your Salt so you never miss an episode. Finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode of Worth Your Salt. Be sure to join us again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.